This week on Days of Our Lives, a fascinating new mystery begins to unfold around Kat Green E.J. DiMera, and an unlikely literary connection that may lead straight to Sami Brady. What started as a subtle moment months ago has now turned into a deeply layered storyline filled with emotional undertones, forgotten memories and long-buried connections that are finally coming to light. The foundation of this twist actually traces back to a quiet June scene that most viewers initially overlooked. At the time, Kat was visiting Marlena Evans' townhouse, where she noticed a framed photo of Sami Brady. The instant Kat's eyes landed on that picture, her entire expression changed. Something flickered behind her gaze, a strange mix of recognition and confusion. Tate Black, who happened to be there, immediately picked up on her reaction and asked if she knew Sami. Kat brushed it off quickly, saying that Sami must have just reminded her of someone else. But her discomfort was impossible to miss. That brief exchange planted the first seed, that somehow, somewhere, Kat and Sami's paths have crossed before. Fast forward to the October 16th episode, where another seemingly minor moment brought that connection roaring back to life. While Kat was organizing books, Foster casually asked if she had ever read Wuthering Heights. Kat paused, looking both confused and strangely drawn to the title. She admitted that she didn't think she had ever read it but added that she would love to. Then came the curious part. Her fingers lingered over the pages, and her eyes softened as if something deep within her recognized the words. There was a familiarity in her reaction, a feeling that she couldn't quite explain. It wasn't just curiosity, it was almost as if the story itself stirred something dormant in her memory. Moments later, fate intervened when E.J. DiMera entered the same room. Kat guided him toward the classics section, and wouldn't you know it, E.J. reached for Wuthering Heights too. For a brief instant, both of them stood there holding the same book, both visibly affected in ways neither could articulate. E.J.'s expression darkened slightly, reflective and uneasy, while Kat's demeanor softened into quiet intrigue. It was a shared moment that felt oddly charged, as if some invisible thread tied them both to that story and perhaps to each other. So why Wuthering Heights? The answer, it seems, lies buried in E.J.'s past, and in Sami Brady's. Longtime Days fans remember that after E.J.'s shooting and supposed death years ago, he was secretly taken to a clinic in Italy, where he spent months in recovery, bedridden and dependent on others for care. During that time, Sami was there watching over him in secret. She often sat by his bedside, reading aloud from books to keep his mind stimulated and his spirit alive. The idea now emerging is that Wuthering Heights might have been one of those books. If that's true, then it opens the door to a stunning theory. What if Kat Green was also a patient in that same Italian clinic? What if she too was recovering from her accident or surgeries in a nearby bed, perhaps even right next to E.J.'s? Sami, being the compassionate and restless soul that she is, might have read aloud not just to E.J. but to Kat as well, unaware of how that simple act would echo years later. Both E.J. and Kat could have been semi-conscious, drifting in and out, their minds absorbing fragments of the story even if they weren't fully awake. The haunting love and tragedy of Wuthering Heights might have imprinted on their subconscious minds, explaining why both now feel an inexplicable connection to the novel. This theory also explains Kat's subtle reaction to Sami's photograph. Somewhere deep within her memory she remembers that voice, that warmth, that empathy, and associates it with Sami without consciously understanding why. She doesn't know the full picture yet, but her instincts are tugging her toward the truth. The same goes for E.J., who has always struggled with fragmented memories from that dark period of his life. If he was half aware